barrel rolling over. That's absolutely massive, and it's Lance Stroll.
Oh, he's coming onto the track just as Lance Stroll. A big crash on board with Lance Stroll.
Okay, Lance, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Lance Stroll is everything wrong with Formula One. Having a multimillionaire father pave your way to the top hasn't exactly turned people into Stroll's biggest fans. Yet, it's not just his privileged upbringing that's drawn ire. His performance on the track and his journey through the lower categories to Formula One has sparked heated debates and raised critical questions about talent, privilege, and the nature of competition at the pinnacle of motorsport. Controversy has always surrounded Lance since his beginnings, and there's more to him than meets the eye on the grid alone. Son of Lawrence Stroll, who with nearly $4 billion is the 15th wealthiest person in Canada, Lance didn't exactly have a tough childhood and was encouraged by his father to pursue a career in motorsport. Lance began competing in karting at the age of 10, winning numerous races across Canada and North America. 2 years were enough for the Ferrari Driver Academy to sign him as a project driver for the future, making the leap to single-seaters in 2014.
Started racing at the age of 8 years old. My dad owns a racetrack in Canada, and yeah, he bought me a go-kart for my 8th birthday, and I got into it right away. It was a huge passion of mine.
Lance raced that year in the Italian F4 with the best possible team, Prema, in which Lawrence became a powerful shareholder to make it even better. Despite having no experience in competitions at that level, Stroll won the championship. Nevertheless, he was overshadowed by his teammate Brandon Maizano, who at 20 years old was too old to be eligible to win the title. In 2015, Stroll won the New Zealand-based Toyota Racing Series, this time beating Maizano, and finished 5th in his first year in the Formula 3 European Championship with Prema. There he achieved a win, competing against other Formula 1 drivers such as Antonio Giovinazzi, Charles Leclerc, George Russell and Alexander Albon. However, the Canadian driver was involved in some serious accidents, such as in Monza, where he went flying after squeezing Giovinazzi onto the grass.
Great, and a huge crash there. Barrel rolling over. That's absolutely massive, and it's Lance Stroll.
Or in Spa, where he also squeezed two rivals off the track. That same year, Stroll left the Ferrari Driver Academy to become a test driver for the Williams Formula One team, after speculation arose that Lawrence could invest in or even acquire the team. The next year, in 2016, Stroll dominated Formula 3 with 14 wins with Prema, clinching the title with 4 races remaining and 187 points ahead of the runner-up. However, the title was not without controversy. Stroll was not only in the best team, largely owned by his father, but he also benefited from team orders that prevented his teammates from challenging him for the title, something criticized by other drivers like George Russell, accusing Prema of ruining the championship. After this season, Stroll did not follow the traditional path of drivers and skipped Formula 2 to compete directly with Williams in Formula 1, news that surprised everyone due to the Canadian's limited experience in lower categories. Like all of his previous moves, this was facilitated by his father Lawrence, who invested $80 million in Williams at a time when the team was facing significant financial difficulties. In this manner, Stroll's Formula 1 journey began in 2017, marking him as the second youngest driver in history to debut in this category at just 18 years and 147 days old. His physical preparation for such a high-level competition and the means through which he secured his seat with Williams came under scrutiny by many. With 3 retirements in the first 3 races and involvements in several accidents, his debut only fueled the suspicions of his detractors, placing him squarely in the crosshairs of criticism. However, as the races progressed, Stroll improved, scoring points in his home race in Canada and surprisingly clinching a podium in Azerbaijan, before scoring in 5 more races throughout the season, along with a noteworthy second place in the wet qualifying session in Italy. Stroll ended the season with 40 points, just 3 behind his teammate Felipe Massa, ultimately salvaging his season with his standout performances in Baku and Monza. The following season, 2018, was one to forget for Williams, with a very slow car that could barely compete for points. Stroll managed to scrape points in just 2 races, outperforming his new teammate Sergei Sirotkin, who also wasn't setting the track on fire. During that same year, Lawrence Stroll swooped in to acquire the Force India team, which, much like Williams, was grappling with financial difficulties. As anticipated, Lawrence's influence once again shaped his son's path, leading Lance to join Force India for the 2019 season, now rebranded as Racing Point, alongside teammate Sergio Perez. The Racing Point car sat comfortably in the midfield with minimal upgrades from the 2018 Force India model. Throughout the year, a noticeable gap emerged between Perez and Stroll. Stroll finished 15th with 21 points, while Perez racked up 52 points, consistently outshining Stroll across the season. The following year, 2020, was perhaps Stroll's best season in Formula 1, largely thanks to the Racing Point of that year, which was the fastest car to date created by the former Force India team. Yet, true to Stroll's career narrative, controversy lingered. There was no shortage of rumors suggesting that the team had copied the previous year's Mercedes, dubbing the car the Pink Mercedes. And the truth is, if you look at photos, both cars look very similar at first glance. Anyway, Stroll took advantage of his car to achieve his best season, finishing in the points on 10 occasions and securing 2 podiums in Monza and Sakir. Additionally, he grabbed a surprising pole position in wet conditions in Istanbul.
And he does go pole! 1:47.7. Lance Stroll is on pole for the first time in his career.
Yet the Canadian wasn't immune to setbacks, facing 5 retirements and enduring some hefty crashes, notably at Mugello and Bahrain. Despite his efforts, his 75 points fell well short of Perez's 125, who claimed a win in Sakir. In 2021, the team traded pink for green, undergoing a rebrand as Aston Martin, with Sebastian Vettel stepping in as Lance's new teammate. Despite the hype surrounding Aston Martin's Formula 1 comeback, the car took a significant drop in performance. Stroll racked up points in 9 races, finishing the season with 34, just shy of Vettel's 43, who clinched a podium. 2022 continued along the same lines as the previous year, with a car that struggled to secure points. Stroll's best result was a 6th place finish in Singapore, and once again he was outperformed by Vettel in his final season in F1, with 18 points compared to the German's 37. Yet 2023 heralded the resurgence of Aston Martin, though not under Stroll's helm, who faced a tough year, but rather through his new teammate Fernando Alonso. The Spaniard clinched a remarkable 8 podiums and amassed 206 points. Stroll was nowhere near the Spaniard throughout the season, achieving a 4th place finish at best in Australia and managing to gather only 74 points. Stroll's lifetime seat at Aston Martin and his lackluster performance have ramped up the critiques against him. In 2024, he still trails far behind Fernando Alonso and has already stirred up controversy with maneuvers like the collision with Daniel Ricciardo in China after the safety car period.
Idiots just slammed on the brake, check wing damage.
Yeah, I got ahead.
The 2024 season marks Stroll's 8th in Formula 1, making him one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. Throughout 2024, the Canadian driver will surpass Ayrton Senna's number of races in Formula 1, which is a considerable milestone. Stroll is indeed one of the longest-serving paid drivers in Formula 1, but for some reason there's still an expectation that he will reach his peak at some point. Something that just won't happen. Although Stroll isn't a terrible driver, he's hardly exceptional either. Sure, he's had his moments of brilliance, like clinching 3 podiums, securing a pole in Turkey and grabbing 2nd place in the qualifying session in Italy back in 2017. Yet, beyond these standout races, Stroll's track record has been largely unremarkable. When we stack him up against his teammates, it's clear Stroll has consistently lagged behind. He only outscored Sirotkin in 2018, though the Russian driver outperformed him with an 8-12 record in qualifying. Overall, Stroll has only beaten his teammates on 37 occasions, while being surpassed 105 times, winning just 1/3 of the qualifying battles. With cars that have never truly been winners, his pole in 2020 makes him the winner of this duel, which isn't very representative, much like the victories, where Perez's win that same year makes him the winner. Similarly, Stroll has only managed to secure a third of the podiums his teammates have, and just over half of the points they've racked up. In this way, we can see that his performance has been far below that of his teammates. While he has had great drivers by his side like Vettel or Massa, they were already in the twilight of their careers. Meanwhile, Alonso and Perez were performing at full throttle. Yet, despite Stroll's prolonged underperformance and reputation for being accident-prone, he has managed to hold on to his seat in Formula One. With the backing of his father, the Canadian driver has steadily progressed through the ranks of motorsport. Now, with Lawrence Stroll owning Aston Martin, the question arises, will they ever part ways with him? The truth is that without Lawrence securing seats left and right, Lance's career would have hit a dead end, and that's precisely the problem. Formula One should be reserved for the world's top 20 drivers. But is Stroll truly among them? While the sport is undeniably costly even from the lower tiers, and while many F1 drivers come from wealthy families, none have had their careers propelled to the extent that Stroll has. While there might be rich drivers or paid drivers who've made it to Formula One through money, if they weren't good enough, they just haven't stuck around for long. Unlike Stroll, who holds a permanent place on the grid. And it's not just that the Canadian struggles to deliver strong results on track. His tendency to crash frequently makes him a highly unprofitable choice for any team. Stroll is arguably, alongside Logan Sargent, the weakest driver on the current grid, and that is despite his vast experience. The existence of such drivers, while talents like Liam Lawson, Kimi Antonelli or Oliver Behrman struggle to secure a seat,
unacceptable condition! Unacceptable!
highlighting that Lance Stroll is everything wrong with Formula One. The category ought to aim for the world's finest drivers, where unwavering dedication, effort, continual growth and refusal to settle should define every driver. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe. We've got you covered with more epic videos like this one right here. Come on, what are you waiting for? Click here.